Good morning. Welcome to the online Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Urbana-Champaign. Our mission is to build community, seek inspiration, promote justice, and find peace. My name is Panay Beckett, and this service is being brought to you partially from my living room with the help of others. Each Sunday, we begin with the land acknowledgement of the indigenous nations of this land. Wherever you are, please bring to mind the indigenous peoples of your place. There will be a moment of silence after the acknowledgement. We recognize and acknowledge that we gather today on indigenous land, taken through deception, coercion, and violence. We acknowledge the continued displacement and oppression of Native people and honor their commitments to survival, identity, and the protection of our world. A child's journey, far from home, fearful and brave, in need of safe harbor. Guided by this chalice, may we seek to understand the causes of flight, like the comfort of a candle flickering in a window of darkness. Let us welcome this child into our home with warmth, nourishment, and love. Would we not want the same for our own child, lost and alone in a strange land? Champaign County is home to a large population of immigrant children, many of them unaccompanied minors who have fled their country due to unsafe conditions, often without support or supervision. Their education and physical well-being are in jeopardy. After learning of the challenges that these children face and the need for families to support them, Pam and Lan Richart decided to become guardians for a young Guatemalan boy named Lucas. Today we will hear each of them speak about the mutual journey they are on and the circumstances that brought them together. Their words, in 3 parts, will make you smile, provide insights about immigration and U.S. foreign policy, and just might provoke interest in guardianship.
Each month, we share half of our Sunday offering with an organization in alignment with our values. This month, our shared offering is the Wesley Food Pantry, which aims to relieve food insecurity one family at a time. And we now have a way to give quickly and easily by text and credit card. And your donation today will be shared between the church and the Wesley Food Pantry. You can also still donate online or send a check after the service. The offering will now be received.
Our community is hurting. Because of the COVID pandemic, businesses are closed, jobs are gone, temporarily or maybe even permanently. Unemployment and food insecurity are shockingly high. Many families, for the first time ever, are wondering where their next meal will come from, and it's frightening. People of color are suffering disproportionately more, both from the illness and from economic disaster. Many people of color who are still working have jobs that are considered essential, but the workers themselves may be treated as dispensable. They may be laid off without warning or forced to work while they're sick. The immigrant community has the added stress of worrying about the possibility of deportation. Because this congregation has always been so generous, Social Action knows that you will want to help. We have set up a Faithify fund to help alleviate suffering during this crisis. To make your donations have the most impact, we've created one fund to support 3 ongoing community projects: CU Better Together, CU Fair's Pandemic Response Fund, and the Red Herrings Bucket Brigade. Perhaps you've received a stimulus check that you really don't need, and you would like to donate it to people who really do need it. Or perhaps you are grateful that you and your family are doing okay, and you would like to help out people who are less fortunate. Please join with the Social Action Committee, the Racial Justice Project, and the Immigration Task Force in supporting this fund. Thank you.
My country is very beautiful but also very poor, and my family is poor. When a country is poor, people look for ways to get the things they need. They may steal or sell drugs. Sometimes they forget to sell drugs and threaten to hurt their family. I needed to escape from the poverty and violence.
I first learned about guardianship when Sally Anderson and I met with Ellen Bullock, an attorney here in town. Sally and I were representing the Immigration Justice Task Force, who was exploring ways to support immigrants in Champaign County. We arranged to meet Ellen at Kopi Cafe. Conversation was easy. We learned about the commitments a child and a guardian make to one another. This isn't adoption, but a legal commitment to take care of a minor until he or she reaches the age of 18. Guardianship protects kids from deportation. And as a bonus, there's an Obama-era program that can put these kids on a path to citizenship. We learned Ellen and her husband David are guardians for a young man from Guatemala. Sally and I spent a very pleasant hour listening to stories about their experiences, including the surprise purchase of chickens from Rural King. It all sounded good, for someone else, of course. The two of us were quite happy to take this concept and all we had learned back to the task force. Until Ellen looked at me straight in the eye and she said, "I have a young man who needs a guardian right now. His name is Diego Lucas Diego, and he too is from Guatemala. He's a terrific kid, And then she said, Pam, I think you should do this. Well, as Sally and I will tell you, Ellen's words hit me like a bolt of lightning. I knew immediately that Lan and I should do this. How crazy was it that we traveled through Central and South America together on delegations that explored the way U.S. foreign policy forces people into poverty and violence. So I went home in a bit of a daze with tears streaming down my cheeks, and those tears didn't stop for a full week. I knew we had to do this, and I also knew Lan would agree.
I am the father of 3 wonderful grown children. I've enjoyed the unforgettable experience of nurturing 3 young people through their teenage years. So when Pam came home one afternoon after having coffee with a friend who specializes in guardianships and said, I think we should become the guardians of a 14-year-old Guatemalan boy, I said, you do remember that it wasn't that long ago we had 3 teenagers? Are you out of your mind? Over the next few days, in a fairly predictable fashion, Pam was frustrated with me. She had already assessed the situation and made up her mind. I was still evaluating. I spent some time taking a closer look at our financial situation, the probable costs involved, the commitment, the moral imperative of someone like ourselves stepping up to the task. 3 days later, I came to Pam and I said, if we make these adjustments, I think we can do it. In fact, I think we should.
Good morning. In keeping with our tradition, each Sunday we offer the opportunity for each of us to share any individual joys or sorrows that we have. We share our joys so that our friends in our church community can help us to celebrate those joyful times in our lives. And we share our sorrows so that our friends in our church community can support us through those inevitable tough times that come to each one of us. Today, I have 1 sorrow and 2 joys to share with you. So let me start first with the sorrow. The sorrow actually comes from me. I lived in Arizona for many, many years. And as I'm sure you all know, Arizona is one of the states being hit the hardest with COVID. And I have many friends and loved ones that still live there. I have friends and loved ones that are testing positive to COVID, that are symptomatic, some that are in the hospital. And I have had 2 friends bury elderly parents. I would invite you to join me in sending prayers and healing thoughts to everyone, not only in Arizona, but everywhere in the world who is being so negatively impacted by COVID. And now joys. The first is from Allie Newbold. And Allie writes, this week I've been thrilled to have my daughter Gina with me as she filled in for, or gave a week's break to, a very overworked professor here at the vet school. It'll be a challenge for me to adjust as she heads back to Columbus early Saturday morning. For this week has been a real vacation for me. Many blessings, Allie. I am so happy for you. And another joy from Carla Peterson. Carla writes, a while back, I reported that a great nephew, Alden, age 14, was having a heart transplant. Thankfully, the transplant was successful, and after about 2 months of hospitalization, ICU away from home, he is recovered and family is all back home in Sacramento, California. What a blessing and what a wonderful story, Carla. Thank you for sharing that with us. If you have a joy or a sorrow that you would like for me to read next week during the Sunday service, please send it to joysandsorrows@uucuc.org, and please send it to arrive by 5 p.m. on Friday. Then I will read it next Sunday, and then it will also appear in the following week's e-news, which is our weekly newsletter. I invite you now to join me in a moment of reflection, meditation, or prayer.
I left my family and my country at age 13 to have a better life. It was very difficult to say goodbye to my family. It took me several weeks to get to the United States. The journey was harder than I expected. While crossing the desert, I became sick, but I made it. It was held in custody for over 3 weeks, then released to my brother. He could not take care of me. Lan and Pam offered to take me into their family.
So on September 28th, 2019, I went to pick up Lucas Diego, and move him into our home. We have a 2010 Prius with limited space in the back, so I put the seats down to make as much room as possible for his things. I anticipated that perhaps we'd have to make a couple of trips. Instead, he came out carrying a backpack, a small box, and a pair of shoes. We placed the items in the back of the car, and we drove home. The last 9 months have been a great joy. Lucas did not know English. We did not know his native language, but with the help of Google Translator and our basic Spanish, we've been able to communicate pretty well. With regular school attendance, his grades have improved. He's learning English. Like any teenager, he likes to sleep late, spends a lot of time on his phone, and needs encouragement to do his homework. Not surprising. He's always ready to help out, and he's developed a really special bond with our 2 golden retrievers, Blizzard and Lincoln. He and I tease each other a lot. It's a lot of fun. And what I really like about Lucas is that he enjoys my jokes, something that my own children don't.
So now we are a real family. I need to tell you that Lucas gives the best hugs ever. Lucas was shy when he first came to live with us, and he still is shy with people he doesn't know well. But he immediately pitched in to be part of this family and do his share of the chores. Lucas likes to cook. His specialties, chocolate chip cookies and tacos. We have fun together, teasing each other, and playfully acknowledge and accept all of our idiosyncrasies because we all have them. This past spring, Lan and I had the benefit of homeschooling Lucas, and we recognized that we needed to help him prepare for high school. What a trooper. He continues to work on learning every single day and has worked so hard. Lucas is really willing to do his schoolwork Monday through Friday, but he's emphatically declared Saturday and Sunday are no school days. That's pretty reasonable, don't you think? It's truly been a pleasure to welcome Lucas into our lives.
Come on into my land. It's your land too now. Wanna shake your hand. Wanna know your story, the journey you've been on. Wanna hear your language. Wanna learn your songs. The earth knows no borders, just one sky above. And friendship has no fences, no walls can stop the love. Welcome, make my home yours. These arms are open, so are the doors. Faces of the world are all around us today. Many voices make for harmony. Let the music play. My life is thanks, Richard, for your friendship today. Let's break bread together while our children play. Welcome, I hope you like it here. I hope that you are safe and your children without fear. But if they come to take you in the dead of the night, I'll be there beside you to stand up for your rights. I will harbor you, I'll fight for you as you would do for me. And when everyone is welcome, we will all be free. Welcome, I say welcome, you are welcome.
I know that realistically there will be many challenges ahead. The road will not always be smooth, but I think the journey will be worth it. The poverty and violence from which Lucas fled were generated in no small part by decades of our own country's involvement in his country, the genocide brought upon indigenous communities. In an attempt to thwart communism, our own country helped overthrow a democratically elected president and supported a dictator that oversaw the killing of nearly 200,000 indigenous people. The continuation of this elitist power and political corruption has kept the country in abject poverty even today. Our country's immigration policy now is to prevent Guatemalans from seeking asylum in the U.S. So we've become guardians in part as an act of resistance, with a bit of reparation in mind, a sense of obligation, but mostly a lot of compassion for a young man who would leave his country and his family in order to better himself. He's been a delight to have in our family, and it's my privilege to help him be part of his life, walk with him during his journey. Lucas has been a great addition to our family.
My new family is very kind. They are good people. I like living with them. They are like parents to me.
I can hardly imagine what it was like for Lucas to leave his family and everything and everyone he knew to cross the desert and the Rio Grande, only to be arrested at the border. He was detained, caged, and not allowed to shower or go outside for nearly a week. But Lucas was one of the luckier kids. A religious charity took charge and brought him to Kansas, where he was detained but more humanely treated until being released to his sponsor. And now Lan and I are the lucky ones. Our lives with Lucas have been great. Why did I so readily agree to do this? Well, in some ways, the last 20 years have been preparing me. Volunteering with peace and justice organizations resulted in friendships with people in Latin America. Our prior church was a sanctuary church in the 1990s and then again in the early 2000s when Clinton's Planned Colombia displaced communities, creating the largest population of internal refugees in the world. More recently, I've been horrified by family separation at the U.S.-Mexico border and the growing number of executive orders by Donald Trump that prevent people from seeking asylum, even though their lives are in danger. And now, Lan and I are empty nesters. who moved into a house that just happened to have a spare bedroom, and it was waiting to be occupied. We found ourselves in a unique position to be able to protect a young boy from deportation, and so together we decided to act. These are my reasons for saying yes to guardianship, and you've heard Lan's as well. But really, all it takes to be a guardian is compassion and a willingness to let a young person into your life. Lucas is a teenager who, like any other, needs parenting, and we're trying to give Lucas all that he needs to have a good life here, including citizenship.
I just graduated from 8th grade. I am a good student and have much to offer if given the chance. Guardianship is helping me fulfill my dreams.
Anything else you want to say?
Lan is a good people and I don't like the jokes. Can you stop it?
Thank you, Lucas, Pam, and Lan, for sharing your stories with us today. For those of you who are interested in learning more about guardianship, you can contact the Richarts. Their contact information is in the UUCUC membership directory. I know they're eager to answer your questions. And as soon as we're able to open our church building again, we hope all of you will take a moment to greet Lucas and welcome him into our community of faith. I will now extinguish the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.